That moment you sit down at the kitchen table, you slide the blood pressure cuff up your arm, the machine starts to squeeze, and you already know what the screen is going to say. You've been doing everything you're supposed to do. You walked this week, you skipped the salt shaker, you went to bed earlier, and the number still climbs. I had that exact morning back in February. I sat there staring at the little screen, and I thought to myself, what am I missing? I'm Michael. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a guy past 60 who reads a lot and listens to people who know more than I do. And I want to be straight with you up front. Doctor Evelyn, who handles the serious medical side of this channel, is going to come back to this exact subject in the next few days. She's going to lay it out properly, with all the science, all the studies, the dosing, the whole picture. So if you want the full medical breakdown, hit subscribe and stay close. That one is coming. But today, I want to share what I stumbled into, because it shifted something for a friend of mine, and I think it's worth knowing about, even before the doctor's version drops. Most of us, when our blood pressure starts climbing, we hear the same advice. Cut the salt, move more, watch the stress. All true, all worth doing. But there's a piece of the puzzle nobody mentions at the doctor's office, and it's been quietly missing from a lot of older folks for years. It's a mineral. Your heart needs it. Your blood vessels need it. The little electrical signals that keep your heartbeat steady, they need it too. And when you don't have enough of it, things start to slip in ways that show up right there on the cuff. I'll just say it. The mineral is magnesium. Now, before you wave me off and say, yeah, I take a magnesium pill already, hold on, because that was my first reaction too. I'd been taking one for years. What I didn't know is that the kind of magnesium you take matters more than whether you take any at all. Let me explain it the way it was explained to me. Think about your arteries the way you'd think about a garden hose. When the hose is supple, water moves through it easy. The pressure stays where it should. When the hose gets stiff and worn, water has to push harder. The walls can't give. Your arteries work the same way. When they lose that flexibility, your heart has to push harder, and the number on the cuff goes up. Magnesium helps the muscles in your blood vessel walls stay relaxed instead of tightening up. It also helps balance out the salt and the potassium inside your cells, the kind of background plumbing that affects how fluid moves through you. And it keeps the electrical rhythm of your heart steady. Take it away, and a lot of small things start going sideways at once. Here's the part that surprised me. A lot of older folks aren't getting enough magnesium in the first place. Modern food, the processed stuff most of us grew up on, has less of it than it used to. Stress burns through it. Coffee burns through it. So does a glass of wine in the evening. You take in less, you lose more. The math doesn't work. So I started looking into magnesium supplements, and that's where I hit the wall. Because there isn't just one kind of magnesium, there are several. And most of what people grab at the drugstore is the cheapest version, the kind your body barely absorbs at all. Most of it just passes straight through you. There's another kind that absorbs better, but it has a habit of sending you to the bathroom in a hurry. Not what you want every day. And then there's the one my friend ended up on. It's called magnesium glycinate. The magnesium is bonded to an amino acid your gut already knows how to absorb. So far more of it actually gets into you, and it doesn't tear up your stomach. There's a bonus, too. The thing it's bonded to has its own quiet, calming effect. People say they sleep better on it. That alone is worth something at our age. Now I want to pause right here, because before you run out and try anything I'm describing, I'm not your doctor. I want to be very clear about that. If you're on blood pressure medication right now, do not stop it. Don't skip a dose. Don't change anything without sitting down with your physician first. If your kidneys aren't working the way they used to, this is doubly important. If you're on antibiotics, same thing. Talk to your doctor before you add anything new to the picture. I'm just sharing what one friend went through and what made sense to me when I read about it. So my friend, let's call him Roy, came to his doctor frustrated. Same story a lot of us know. He'd done the diet stuff. He'd cut the salt. He was walking. He was already on a couple of pills. And his morning numbers were still high, especially the morning ones. He'd wake up, sit on the edge of the bed, take his reading, and the systolic was always the worst, right out of the gate. His doctor brought up magnesium, but specifically the glycinate kind, and specifically taken at night, not in the morning. Roy started small, a modest amount before bed. Gave it about a week to settle in. Then his doctor walked him up step by step over a couple of months, slowly, carefully, watching what happened. The first thing Roy noticed wasn't even the blood pressure. It was the sleep. He told me he hadn't slept that deep in years. Not knocked out, not groggy, just deeper. He was waking up actually rested. And here's where the morning number piece becomes interesting. A lot of us, when we hit our 60s and 70s, our nervous system doesn't ever fully calm down. It stays in this low simmer of stress. Even when nothing is wrong, the body is acting like something is. And it nudges blood pressure up, especially in the morning when stress hormones peak naturally. When Roy started sleeping deeper, that simmer cooled off. His mornings stopped being the worst part of his day. His readings came down. Now I want to be careful here, because I don't want to overstate this. Roy's doctor was watching him the whole time. The number didn't drop overnight. It took weeks. And it was paired with everything else he was already doing right. The walking, the food, the sleep. Roy was not a guy looking for one magic answer. He was a guy stacking small things on top of small things. But over time, his doctor was eventually able to talk to him about easing back on one of his pills. Working together, slowly. That kind of result isn't typical for everyone. It depends on a lot of personal factors, and it should never, ever be done on your own. But it shows you what's possible when you find a piece your body was actually missing. Hearing Roy talk about it, I started reading. And the more I read, the more I understood why his doctor went with that specific kind. The form matters. The cheap stuff at the drugstore doesn't get into you in any meaningful way. The other kind chases you to the bathroom. The glycinate one is the one that actually makes its way in, sits in your system, and gets to work. If you're going to look into it for yourself, and again, I'm saying this as a friend, not a doctor, do it with the doctor in the room. A few things I'd watch for if you ever do go that route. Quality changes a lot from brand to brand. The supplement aisle isn't held to the same standard as the prescription counter. Some bottles have what they say, some don't. Look for one that's been tested by an outside lab. There are seals on the label that tell you that. Your pharmacist can point them out if you ask. Skip the products that are throwing in 5 other things you don't need. You want a clean label. Just the magnesium glycinate, listed clearly, with the actual amount per serving spelled out. And if your doctor says yes, start small. There's no prize for taking a lot fast. Some people get loose stools at higher amounts. Some people get a little dizzy when they stand up. especially if their pressure is already on the lower side. If that happens, that's your body telling you something. Back off and check in with your doctor. Here's the thing I keep coming back to. When you're past 60, the body isn't really broken. It's just running on lower reserves than it used to. Most of what we're calling aging isn't really aging. It's the body running short on the small things it used to have in surplus. Deep sleep is one of them. Magnesium turns out to be another. You don't fix any of that with one pill. You don't fix it overnight. You fix it the way Roy fixed his mornings. Slowly. With his doctor. Stacking small things on top of each other until the picture starts to look different. I'm going to leave it there for today. Like I said at the start, Dr. Evelyn is going to dig into this one properly later this week. She'll have the studies, the numbers, the dosing, the whole science. If you want that side of it, make sure you're subscribed. Turn on the bell so you don't miss it. And if this hits something for you, share it. Share it with somebody stuck staring at their morning cuff, wondering what they're missing. That's the kind of person this is for. I'll see you on the porch next time.